Good evening. Welcome to our May 28th Select Board meeting. I'd like to take a roll call of who's here.
Gary DePalma.
Jacob Giwer.
Kevin
Kevin Kyra.
and Lil.
Lily Maselli.
Okay, we have two on Zoom and Frank West, so we're all here. So if we could stand and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of
the
America.
republic
And to the republic which stands one nation, under God,
Under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to, if I could get a motion to review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
You have to do a roll call with,
Oh,
for
roll
everything while they're on the.
I'm sorry, yes. Can we do a roll call on that, please?
Gary DePalma, yes.
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Kevin Kyra, yes.
Lily Maselli, yes.
Frank West, yes. Unanimous. Okay, so we'd like to have warrants approved since last meeting. 2546, 2546W, 2547, 2547W, 2547T, and 2547S. Is there a motion
Make a
to
motion
approve?
to accept.
Motion to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor by roll call?
Gary DePalma.
Jacob
Yes.
Giwer, yes.
Kevin
Kevin-
Kyra, yes.
Lily Maselli, yes.
And Frank West, yes. Mr. Manager?
Thank you. I need a motion to approve warrant article 2546T. Roll call.
So moved.
Oh, so moved, yes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Gary DePalma, yes.
Abstain?
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Kevin Kyra, yes.
Lily Maselli, yes.
4-0 with one abstention. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Moving right along. Approval of minutes from May 12th. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Palmer motioned. Is there a second?
Second.
So move.
So, up. Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote?
Gary
For
DePalma, yes.
discussion,
Oh, you want discussion? Sure.
yes. On the back, on the very back page, salute to service, I believe that you gave that recognition, Frank, not Gary DePalma. Salute to services, Chair DePalma. I think it should be Chair West. Very last page,
Was that
first
it?
sentence.
Was that the revised change?
Yeah, Kevin, that was sent out as a revised change.
Oh, okay, I did not see that.
Okay,
Okay.
so do you want to just make your motion to accept the revised minutes?
Sure.
Your
hang on
second,
one
rather?
second. We'll stay there. Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the revised minutes.
Oh, I think we got to cancel Gary's. Why don't we cancel your minute? You okay to cancel your motion?
Sure.
Well,
Okay, so
that
Gary,
was just for discussion. I don't think we have to redo anything, do we?
no, well, there was just a revise, so I didn't know if Kevin had said motion to accept revised minutes. So Gary canceled his minutes. Kevin has a motion to accept the minutes as revised.
I second that.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote?
Gary DePalma, yes.
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Kevin Perry, yes.
Lily Maselli, yes.
Frank West, yes. Unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, we have no appointments. We have communication, Mr. Manager.
Sure. So the first communication is a memorandum from the town clerk regarding 2025 mass inactivation. So the purpose of this memorandum was to inform the board and by extension the town of the statutory required mass inactivation of voters. So anyone that did not return their census was made inactive. Note, that is even if you voted in the presidential election. If you did not return your census, you were made inactive. So if you're a voter on the inactive list, you can still vote. You just need to bring ID to your polling place and have to fill out the affidavit of current and continuous residence. This will allow you to cast your ballot. So note for the record, fill out your census, then you won't be inactivated. But this is just to let folks know.
Okay. Moving along.
The second memorandum, Mr. Chair, is regarding the Town Hall School Administration Building parking. So this is to provide an update to the board with some clarification regarding the parking situation at the Town Hall School Administration Building. I'm not sure that anyone had really had these details in front of them regarding the parking at that property. And so I really want to give a lot of credit to the folks on the reuse committee because their efforts kind of dug this up, and I think it merited us having a kind of a report to the select board about it. So as you can see, there's a breakdown of the parking spaces that was provided. I think it was provided out of reuse committee meeting and has been on the website as a part of their process that shows the number of spaces that are required for that new building, along with our new lot capacity. So the kind of the rub is after you have all the required parking spaces, there's only 18 spaces for any visitors or other users at the site. And the estimate that we got from the town clerk, would that be for state elections, the town would need 75 to 100 spaces above the employee requirements because of the 3 precincts that would be housed in the building. And so I just wanted to kind of make it clear to the board that given this use, that regardless of whether the building will or will not be saved, the property would not be surplus because we need those parking spaces for the town hall use. And so that was why I wanted to kind of let the board know that and kind of provide them that information. I know the reuse committee is still working on the property, but just wanted to kind of let folks know.
Mr. Palmer.
Mr. Town Manager, do we know how many slots would be available if the senior center is not there?
The old senior center?
The old senior.
There's not a specific number. I think it's like 20 or 25 extra spots.
But it would help drastically with your parking situation, though.
It would increase the parking available there for the times when there's heightened need for parking in that area, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other comments online?
Yeah, just a question. Right now, you're saying that there's 40 spots at the Bazell School, is that correct?
Yes, that's according to the information I was provided, yes.
Okay. So the way I'm seeing it is that it doesn't leave 18 spaces. So if you have 266 dedicated spots that you need, which includes town employees, school, and students, and the lower level now has 284 spots, right? So you add the 40 spots on the upper deck, that's 324 spots. So that means that if you have those 40 spots on the upper deck rather than on the lower deck, so you're going to have 226 spots being used on the lower lot, which gives you a total extra spaces on the lower lot of 58 parking spots. Now, I would think 58 parking spots on the lower level would be plenty to run the day-to-day business. And if it's not, then if you're telling me you need an extra 25 spots, then the dedicated spots that we allot to the students, the 175, you could even bring that down to 150, and now you'll have 83 open spots on the lower level. So I understand that the Bazell property isn't surplus, but that doesn't mean the Bazell school is not surplus. So, and then you get into the fact of the 75 to 100 spots for the election, right? So you could actually run the election from precincts 1 to 6 at the senior center. because you have 164 parking spots at the senior center, and then you have overflow if you talk to the church at St. Dorothy's. And you could have the entire voting in one location rather than split. So that's something that you probably would need to look at for coordination. So I see that it's not 18 available spots. I'm seeing it as 58 because you're up to 324. And then you're taking the 266 as needed down below. That leaves you with an extra 58 spots. So in my experience, I would think that that's plenty for the operation of the day-to-day business at the town hall.
Okay, is that, Lil, do you have anything? Lil?
All right. I had to unmute myself. No, I apologize because I'm still at the hospital. I don't have the papers in front of me, so that was a little confusing for me. But if with the Gazelle Center, I understand that the parking lot won't be surplus. The building could be. Just going off the initial parking, if we did, let's just say, lease that center to somebody and there was a voting, an election coming up, then that could potentially prohibit anybody in that building from having use of that parking lot during that time. Because we would get first shot at it, correct?
Yeah. So, and again, just to be clear, the goal of this memo was to say that in the lower lot, it doesn't believe that there doesn't appear to be sufficient parking in the lower lot for town hall's purposes, and so that we would need that parking in the upper lot, and so.
Yeah.
Since there's a municipal use for that parking, we wouldn't be there would never be a time when we would contemplate surplusing that lot.
Right. No, I understand that. I was
Yes.
just kind of thinking, and I'm sure it wouldn't be a big deal one way or the other, but I was just kind of thinking, let's say let's say it becomes a function space, for example, which would it, and we have elections going on, there could be potential issues with somebody in there that they wouldn't be able to, have a function on, on a Saturday that's an election. Because we would end up we would need that parking lot for municipal purposes.
That would.
Mr. Chair, can I just say something?
Sure.
So in that regard, on a Saturday, I don't think there's any issues on a Saturday election for the town. I think the issue comes in with the state elections, and I don't think that there'd be any issues
Good
with
point.
that as well. If you're going to
Okay.
close down the senior center for 3 precincts, you might as well close it down for 6 precincts. But what I was saying before, Lil, is that you have 184 spots in the lower level, and you're required to use 266, so that leaves you 18 spots. But when you
Right.
add the 40 spots in the upper level, you have all the
Yep.
employees, or most of the employees who are at the lower level park at the upper level.
I see, okay.
That expands the amount of parking to 58 spots down below. So that gives you an
That makes sense,
additional
yeah.
40 spots down below. So the 18 plus the 40 gives you 58 spots on the lower level because you're having the employees park in the upper level. So that's
I
why I
follow
think, yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
think it's.
I understand, thank you.
Yep.
That makes sense, I understand, thank you.
Just to clarify one thing, while I appreciate the idea about the senior center, I don't think there's sufficient room at the senior center for all 6 precincts inside. I know that it worked great with 3 precincts. I think it would be a lot more challenging to try to fit 6 precincts in the interior of the building. But that's certainly something that the clerk can evaluate if that becomes an issue.
Yeah, but Mr. Chair, I would like for that to be looked at. When you're putting a precinct into a classroom, you would think that a senior center that holds 259 people, plus there's other rooms, there's other conference rooms that are there, would be plenty sufficient enough to hold 6 precincts. I think there's a large conference room, there's a small, that is similar in size to the rooms at Town Hall where we used to have the precincts set up. So I think it would have to be evaluated, but I think that it's plenty of room. It's just, it gets into the parking, whether there's enough parking with 164 spots over there and an overflow. If you talk to the pastor, St. Dorothy's, I'm sure during the day on a Tuesday election, people would be able to park over at the church.
I guess maybe, Mr. Manager, if you could ask Beth if she could look into is it viable to have the senior center as a precinct 1 through 6 parking, voting?
Certainly, yeah, I mean, I
That's
think
the-
that would be,
Ask the question and see if it's at least, possible. If it's not possible, then we move
Sure.
on from there. I did have a question, though. Now, the student parking there now that they're using, is that all the parking there? Is there going to be additional parking to what they're using today?
for the students?
Yes.
No, the students' area is completed right now.
Okay, because I went down there today, and I counted 134 parking spaces, not including some for the Fourth of July building. So I was just kind of curious where we came up with the 175. And out of the 134, there was 65 vacant. Now, I know the seniors have left, so it's just the juniors that are parking there. And I'm assuming there might be some teachers and staff that it's kind of a little like an overflow parking for that as well. So I was just curious, where did we come up with these numbers, like 175 spaces? And when we went to design the layout, I'm just curious why this wasn't talked about at that time. It just seems weird that we got the building half built and,
Well, I do think it was, but I don't think there was a finalization of the parking plan, and I think there were some assumptions made about what was going to happen to the Bazell, and those assumptions may not have come to fruition. So, but I can certainly check about where Dennis got the numbers that he put in here. Those are what.
yeah. And if it turns,
Mr. Chair.
hold on a second, Kevin, if it turns out that we need more town hall parking, if it turns out that the building is reused in some capacity and the student parking needs to be knocked down, I think that we may need to sacrifice some of the student parking, because they also park downstairs at the library, that whole lot in there as well, in the back of Nichols, right?
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, where they,
Oh, I know where the lot is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know
that's
that.
the downstairs part of, is student parking, not the library and the building next door, the bookstore next door. But I think the downstairs is also, the lower lot is also student parking. I'm sorry, Kevin, you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that's news to me that they're using library parking for student parking. I think I would check on that, Mr. Town Manager, to see if that's factual, because that I don't think is supposed to be done that way, to be honest with you. It's for library parking. But going back to the question about parking at the new town hall, that was discussed and talked ad nauseum, and we actually increased the parking with the new building. We didn't decrease it. It actually got increased, believe it or not. So that the parking situation was always discussed at our meetings, the town hall school administration building meetings. So, and it did increase in parking capacity.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Mr. Manager, you could continue?
Then we're to,
I just want to, Kevin and Lil, you all set? I hear silence, so
Yes, Mr. Chair.
thank you, sir.
we'll move on to a board to consider.
I'm all set, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just muting myself, so apologies if I don't answer right away.
No, we appreciate the fact that we're able to get zoomed in, so this is good. Sir?
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Board to consider number 6. Board to consider issuing a Sunday entertainment license to Cushing Amusements in conjunction with the 4th of July celebration.
Okay, is there a motion to issue a Sunday entertainment license to Cushion Entertainments in conjunction with the
I'll
4th of
make a
July?
motion with discussion.
Oh, do you, all right, do you want to make a motion, have somebody second for discussion?
ahead.
Second.
Would you second for discussion?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do a roll call on that?
No, you had discussion first.
Oh, discussion, I'm sorry, go ahead.
As far as the entertainment license, I only see the license here. Has there been any communication through police and fire on their permit?
Did we get the-
Yeah, we've never
Oh,
gone
you- oh, you never-
for the stages for them to operate on Sunday.
Okay,
Yeah, this is it's
Okay.
a Sunday thing. This is
okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, can we do a roll call vote to approve?
Gary DePalma, yes?
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Kevin Carey, yes.
Maria Maselli, yes.
Frank West, yes. Passes 5-0.
Okay, the next, the board to consider number 7. The board to consider the request of the Wilmington Rotary to use Rotary Park on Saturday, August 23rd, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the Ice Bucket Challenge to benefit the Angel Fund of Wakefield.
Okay, is there a motion to use Rotary Park on Saturday for that purpose?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any
Second.
discussion? Oh, do you want to let Lil second that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
It's
motion
okay,
made,
it's okay.
motion made by Mr. Mr. DePalma, second by Ms. Maselli. Is there any discussion?
It's open for that time period?
There's not a conflict.
Okay.
Okay, no discussion? Is there a roll, it's like a roll call vote to accept?
Gary DePalma, yes?
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Kevin Carey, yes.
Maria Maselli, yes.
Frank West, yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Board to consider number 8. Board to consider authorizing early voting for the September 16th, 2025 special election. So the purpose of the memorandum was to request the board to authorize early in-person voting at the town clerk's office. We did this for the local election, and the staffing plan is to do it without hiring any other extra election workers. They would be starting it as soon as we receive our ballots, and then it would go until September 5th, 2025.
Okay, is there a motion to authorize early voting for September 16th special election?
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve,
Second?
second. All in favor? Gary
Aye.
DePalma,
Gary DePalma, yes?
roll call?
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Kevin Carey, yes.
Maria Maselli, yes.
Frank West, yes. 5-0.
Okay, and board to consider number 9. Board to consider the request of Samantha Bolanos and others to place a free little library at Silver Lake. So this is a request from a junior at Wilmington High School as a part of a civics project to locate a little free library at Silver Lake for visitors of all ages to enjoy.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the request of Samantha Bolanos and others?
I'll make the motion.
I will
Motion made
second.
by Mr. Kyra, seconded by Mr. DePalma. Roll call vote?
Gary DePalma, yes?
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Kevin Carey, yes.
Maria Maselli, yes.
Frank West, yes. 5-0.
That is all of our boards to consider, Mr. Chair.
Public comments.
Yes.
Name and address for the record, please.
Michelle Feeney, is this on? Can you hear me? Michelle Feeney, 5 Arlene Ave. I am questioning how you can do an early voting for the whole process for the MSBA mega school if the town in-person meeting needs 2/3 vote to pass. Why would you do early voting prior to that?
Right.
Yeah, so just for the record, the ballot question only needs a simple majority.
Yeah. So, but we were told that the first vote would be in person for 2/3 on September 13th on Saturday. If that fails, there's no need for a ballot vote. Is that correct?
If either one of them fails, the other one becomes moot. That's
But we were
correct.
told during the process that if this failed at the in-person meeting on September 13th that there would not be a ballot vote.
So that's, the ballot vote will still happen. But we need both to pass. So we wouldn't decide on a Sunday afternoon that we're not going to have an election on Tuesday.
That's not what we were
given-
told. I followed the process. I followed the Wildwood School Building Committee meetings, and I was told by the people at the meeting that the first vote would be an in-person, 2/3 majority. Only if that passes would there be a ballot vote.
So I've been at all those meetings. I'm certain that was not said in that way. It was never phrased that there would never be a ballot question.
No,
But
there
only
was,
that
well,
both
if-
have to pass.
So if the first one fails, you're still going to do a ballot vote? So if it doesn't pass with 2/3, you're telling me there's going to be a ballot vote?
Both of these things are going to happen, absolutely.
And when are the dates for the early voting?
It will go through September 5th.
Well, but when does it start?
That would be a question for the clerk.
Any ideas? Is it all summer? Is there a finite amount of when that early vote would happen?
So
We'd have to get the ballots.
yeah, the town clerk has to order the ballots, and so as soon as the ballots come in, she's going to start the early voting.
So there's just unlimited, it could be 40 days, it could be 30 days, there's not going to be a finite amount of time?
Again, that's a question for the town clerk.
And-
Because she knows when she's going to ordering the ballots. It's not
I think
It
it's
seems-
normally early voting's like a week or so, isn't it?
sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks.
But who decided this? Because at an in-person meeting, there will be public comment and an opportunity to speak about this mega school. And you're eliminating that by allowing people to vote and ending the early voting September 5th. Are you hoping that it will pass and then no one will be able to change their votes?
Excuse me, I got just a quick question for you. Are you talking about the town meeting and then the election?
Yeah, we were told that there would be on September 13th on Saturday, that there was to be an in-person meeting with the yays and the nays, where 2/3 majority had to pass. If that passed, then there would be a ballot vote for simple majority. Now, it seems like everything has changed, and it looks like you're opening up a very large amount of time for ballot votes, and I'm wondering why. And I'm also wondering what the time frame is. That seems like an inordinate amount of time, and I'd like to know, who decided that?
So we'll make sure that it gets posted with the date when it starts. Absolutely. And by the way, those two things could have happened in the opposite order. We could have had the ballot vote first, and then the town meeting second.
But who determines that?
The select board when they make the schedule.
So when did what part of the process? Is it just tonight you decided to do that? Because it seems like it was decided before.
No, we gave you those dates a long time ago. I think you remember.
But exactly, and those dates I had as September 13th for the in-person vote, and they would only go to a ballot vote if that passed.
And again, I'm sorry if there was a miscommunication, but I am certain that in no meeting that I was in was that ever said, because I would have corrected it.
Okay, if there's anybody watching right now and you are opposed or you feel that the town is pushing this down your throat, please feel free to get in touch with me, Michelle Feeney, 617-817-1523, because I am extremely upset that the town just keeps pushing this down everyone's throat. And now, with the unlimited amount of time to early vote, I just think that it's
Well, what I
quite
think-
obvious what's happening here.
What I think we should be able to do is maybe if we know by our next meeting what the dates would be, we can say those dates, or if it can be published.
Sure.
earlier.
Well, I'm certain the clerk will be posting the specific dates as soon as they have this.
Is this the process that the MSBA does all the time?
Mr. Kyra?
Mr. Chair, yeah, could we find out from our attorneys the answer to Ms. Feeney's question? Because if it does fail on September 13th at town meeting, then I think the vote on the 16th would be mute. I mean, because if it fails at town meeting and then it passes the ballot box, well, I mean, does it move forward, or did it stop at town meeting? I think that's a legitimate question that needs to be addressed.
And
And I think maybe this is something that KP Law can help us with, because it's almost like when you go to town meeting and you take up various articles and they're drawn at random, and now we're going to put them together. One affects the other. So if it's voted in favor, you would think you would have the election for the funding. But if it's voted not in favor, then why would you have the election for the funding when it's no longer viable? And then you're paying all of these people to go to an election that doesn't work.
I can certainly ask KP for that question.
I'm a little confused myself.
Kevin, if just to be clear, you're on the committee, correct?
Timing of the early voting, I almost assumed that it would be after the town meeting for the early voting and not weeks before, but maybe there's a law that has that, that allows the timing of the early voting that we need to look at as well.
And Kevin, just so we're clear too, you are on the Wildwood School Building Committee, correct?
I am on the school building committee, yes.
Okay, great. Because I have followed those, and I know other members, and the understanding was, I mean, it makes zero sense to have the way you have it set up. You're looking at every available way to pass this. That is my opinion. But the fact that you're leading up to weeks and weeks, it's just you're almost looking at however way we can get this passed, we're going to do it. And one of the things that I'm extremely upset about, and I will let you know as the select board, the thing that frustrates people in this town is when they hear things, well, it's a done deal, it's happening. That you're basically, that's what's going on in this town. And then we come to a meeting and we find out that this is the process. You're going to allow weeks and weeks of early voting. And you have to do both. It
Well,
has
why-
to pass both.
Why don't we
And the
do?
campaigning.
Could I say something?
Sure. Ms. Maselli, go ahead.
I just want to say that the early voting, just as many people can vote no than people can vote yes. So I'm not sure why that's coming across as we're trying to shove it down people's throats to pass it. People who are against it can also vote no early. So it's not just for people who are in favor, it's for people who are against. So, I mean, to me, that doesn't, make any sense. I'm just a little frustrated because this is not, a scam or anything like that. We're not trying to shove anything down anybody's throat. And I'm frankly getting tired of being put in that light that we're trying to do that. I think that's unfair. I think this is up to the residents, and just as many people can vote no early as people who can vote yes.
Okay, why don't,
I think we gotta stop turning on each other here. It's getting
But
ridiculous.
it's not a matter of that. The
Why-
campaign,
Back, Mr. Chair, let me say,
Go ahead.
and I agree with Ms. Maselli, and I have no problem with early voting. My problem is, I guess if it fails at town meeting, then why should we move forward and then have voting further at that point? I have no problem with early voting, but it needs to be spelled out whether it's 2 weeks, a week ahead, or
right, well, why-
a month ahead, or 3 days ahead. I think Ms. Maselli makes a great point that people can vote no and people can vote yes, and early voting is fine.
but which
Well,
vote
what-
matters?
I don't
Which one?
understand if it fails at town meeting, why you would move forward.
well, why don't we, excuse me, why don't,
Spend that money and spend the money that you wouldn't have to spend.
well, why don't we do this, is that, Mr. Manager, can you, number one, can you ask the town clerk what the dates of early voting that she's proposing are?
Absolutely.
And per Mr. Kyra's suggestion is that can we talk to KP Law to see what the process is, that if it does fail town meeting, do we cancel the special election? And what the process is for notifying people that we're canceling the election, because I'm assuming that people are going to show up.
Yeah, I was about to. So I've been in this situation before. You don't cancel the special election. You hold the special election, and then you make a decision after the special election about what to do going forward. But
why don't
I will
we-
absolutely get an opinion from KP
Yes.
Law.
Could
That's-
you
So we're
do
going to
that?
spend money on ballots. So which one is the tiebreaker? If it fails at, which vote is more important for this to go forward?
Equal.
You need both.
You need both. If it fails one, then it's a done deal, unless, something comes back at a future date, but you have to pass both. It's 2/3 at the town meeting, 50 plus 1 at the ballot, correct?
Okay, so, but we're
The
doing.
debt exclusion,
okay.
it's
The debt
2/3
exclusion, yeah.
at the town meeting,
Okay,
yes.
so we're doing, and
There may be
my
something
other
else in town
question
meeting,
is
it's not
for
2/3.
Mr. Slagle is,
The special
Hold,
town
hold,
meeting.
hold on just a second, Kevin.
I just have a question. When will there was talk about a calculator getting put up as to how much it would impact our taxes. I haven't seen that. Is there a date when that is going to be put onto the town website?
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, so that's probably more of a question for the school building committee, but I can let you know that the MSBA will give us their final number on June 18th. So we will get the number from the MSBA as to what their absolute dollar, downs to the penny that they're going to contribute. And once we know that, then we'll be able to put forward a calculator to let people know the.
Okay,
the
and just
tax.
public.
Hold on just a
Yep.
moment, Mr. Kyra?
Just for clarification, the special town meeting was voted at our January 13th meeting, so 9 months previous. So there was ample notification that there was a special town meeting, right? Because it happened in January.
And when was the ballot?
Just for informational purposes, Ms. Feeney.
Okay, so
Excuse
that
me,
was
just for
January. When was the ballot?
clarification, traditionally, information goes through the chair.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just, if that was in January, when was the early voting ballot decided?
Just now.
Oh, just now?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so we've done early voting at every election in this town for years. So there was always going to be early voting at this ballot question. That was always on the table. The date was set, I believe, in January, the same date that we set the special town meeting. And there's always been a discussion, that we're going to have.
Well, we're going to
early
find
voting.
out.
Yep,
Well, we're
fine.
going to find out. Excuse me. We're going to find out more about what the dates of early voting are, and we're also going to find out from KP is what happens in the event of it fails a town meeting. Do we go forward or not with the special election? So is that?
Yep, I
do you
appreciate
have any
that.
other?
Yep, and I just want to say I'm very disappointed that every single select board member voted yes to that. And again, Michelle Feeney, 617-817-1523. If you are opposed to this and feel that you have no voice, please call. We are organizing and mobilizing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir?
Hey, Paul Shallow, 448 Hopkins Street. I see there are other people in the audience, so I'll try to keep this brief. I want to touch on a couple of different topics. Topic number one is my visit to the Select Board on April 28th of this year. I posed a bunch of questions to the board at that time, and I asked for a response, and none was forthcoming that night, and none was forthcoming in the subsequent weeks following that meeting, which prompted me to send correspondence to everybody, the 5 select board members, the town manager, the assistant town manager. I believe there might have been one more recipient, but I'm not sure. That was sent out on, I believe, May 14th. I have yet to receive any responses from anybody, any of the 7 or 8 recipients of that email, and I concluded that email by saying, I await your response in a courteous and respectful manner, and I hope that it's conveyed to me in a professional and timely manner. Well, another 13 days have passed, and I have yet to hear from anybody that is a recipient of that email. There was a retouching of all the topics that I talked about in person on the April 28th meeting, and there was one additional topic that had to do with the subdivision work, which I'm an abutter relative to construction being done outside the permitted time. That was an additional one that was added to the May 14th correspondence. I have not heard from anybody yet. I requested a response. There's been silence. It's been silence for over a month. I don't know why there's silence. We've got 7 or 8 recipients. I believe the 8th recipient might have been the Planning and Conservation Director, if I'm not mistaken. In any case, I'm looking forward to an answer to those. If you need me to resend anything, I will gladly resend it. If anybody needs to know how to contact me, you've already got my email, and my phone number is a matter of public record in the town's, vaulted coffers here, wherever they may be. Moving on to another topic, it is regarding the Building Reuse Committee. I was in attendance at the Reuse Public Forum on May 14th, and there were Mr. De Palma, Mr. West, and Mr. Gear were there also in attendance. It was a very well-run meeting. It was very informative. I had a couple of questions there. They were kind of answered, but not directly. Subsequent to that meeting, I believe on May 19th, I sent an email to the Select Board, and Mr. Town Manager and the Assistant Town Manager also were carbon copy recipients. I'd like to read that here. It's very brief. Bazell School Reuse/Building Reuse Committee to Chair West and the Honorable Select Board. This letter is a follow-up regarding my attendance at the Building Reuse Committee meeting forum on May 14th, 2025. While Chair Kelly was forthcoming with all questions presented through the forum, I'm trying to obtain a better and more detailed understanding of the committee's charge. It seemed to me that the committee's charge was exclusively focused on municipal use/reuse or demolition. However, there similarly were appearances and intimations that the committee was not or would not be suggesting or recommending a specific use back to the Select Board. I am not sure what specific municipal needs exist, but it was stated that there are town government subdivisions/departments that are interested in the now vacant building. As such, I would like to know what the specific duties of the Building Reuse Committee are as directed by the Select Board. Furthermore, I would like to know the specific course wherein the Bazell could be declared surplus. I am having difficulty establishing a nexus between the committee's mandate, as I understand it, and the potential third option of declaration of surplus. Additionally, the permitted use of the building should be in keeping with the zoning bylaws. I mention this because ahead of the meeting, I familiarized myself with such permitted uses so as to not improperly suggest an unpermitted use. My understanding was that the area was zoned residential 20. This fact was confirmed during the meeting by the town manager. As such, permitted uses for residential zones are specifically and narrowly defined. On this topic, it was intimated that the committee was unconcerned, or actually less concerned, with permitted uses. Given their specific charge, again, as I understand it, that may be true. However, my feeling is that the permitted uses should be paramount at the forefront of any conversation regarding the retention and future use of the building. Any proposed use of the building by any person or entity should be immediately reviewed and scrutinized and confirmed to be a permitted use before anything further is done. The appearance that the town would entertain any suggested use that is prohibited by the zoning bylaws is troublesome. It would be similarly troublesome should the town act in any manner that would tend to facilitate or promote changes on behalf of private persons or entities that could allow a prohibited use to somehow become a permitted one. The Select Board and the Building Reuse Committee should have municipal needs and permitted uses as their most important and critical aspects of any repurposing of any town-owned building. Thank you for thank you for the Select Board's attention to these issues. Now,
Mr. Shalafo.
Sure.
To get to your first comment about early emails.
Sure.
I can have a conversation with the manager, and we'll go forward with that on the first email that he was talking about, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
In respect to the charge of the Building Reuse Committee.
Sure.
There are 7 lines that are permitted, that are the charge of the, I think it's seven lines that are on the town website.
Sure.
That will tell the charge as written by the town manager and sent to the board, sent to the Select Board, and obviously the Building Reuse Committee.
Okay.
So if there's a use that is if they're looking at a use that may be prohibited by the bylaws, I would assume that that committee with the building superintendent as its chair would be able to say, guys, we can discuss this use or not, but under the current bylaws, that particular use is prohibited, and in order to get a waiver, it would probably have to be a special permit by the Board of Appeals, Planning Board / Board of Appeals, which may or may not happen. And
All right. My understanding, my understanding of the situation is that there is a fraternal organization in the town of Wilmington
Yeah.
that is actively pursuing obtaining the building for their use as a lodge for their organization.
right, no,
That's
and not to interrupt, I guess to interrupt
Yeah.
you. Again, that is the Building Reuse Committee's.
well, they kind of put it off on you at the meeting. My understanding of it was when one of the members spoke up that night that they were kind of not so concerned about the permitted, unpermitted uses at the time of this public forum, that they were just kind of focusing on, is the building going to be saved? Is it going to be demolished?
Right.
So for you to put it back on that committee here, you're putting me in limbo here, because I went to that public meeting
Yep.
expecting some answers, because I did as you read right here and as I stated there.
Okay.
You were there.
Yeah.
All three in
And there
attendance
were-
were
and there
here,
were
and
three-
Mr.
and
Mr.
excuse me,
Slagle
excuse me.
was there for part of it, and for it to be shifted back to the building committee really doesn't make much sense. So my
Well,
point,
it does make sense.
My point
It makes-
is,
excuse me,
well,
excuse me, Mr.
let me
Chalfant.
finish. Let me
No,
finish,
hold-
Mr. West. Let me finish.
You go
please.
ahead.
I'm
You're-
speaking, so please
yep,
let
go
me
ahead.
finish. I'm telling you, that is what my take was that particular night, on the 14th of May, that one of the building committee members spoke, and my understanding of how they communicated that was that there was not an overall concern in the building reuse committee with permitted or unpermitted uses, and they were more concerned as to whether it was going to be demolished or whether it was going to be kept for reuse.
Well, one of the things, one of their charges is to seek out the cost of reusing the building, bringing it up to speed to be able to reuse, and then see if that warrants that amount of money to be expended by the town, and to give a recommendation for that. And then subsequent, from my perspective, I would like to hear what potential uses have been brought to the table, be it a municipal use, which I think everyone would agree that it's a town building, and if it's going to be saved, should be first and foremost a municipal use.
Yes,
And then from there, excuse me, I let you speak.
Sure.
And then from there, if it turns out that there's a different use that everyone can agree to, fantastic. But I'm hearing various municipal uses, so the idea of a non-municipal use, if you were to rate things, would probably be lower on the agenda, if you will.
I understand that. My point that I'm trying to make here, and my point that I was trying to make at the time at the forum, and my point that I was trying to make in the subsequent email to the board a few days later, was that residential zones have permitted uses. Residential zones have non-permitted uses. Why would anybody on any board or committee be entertaining something that is not permitted?
They are not entertaining.
Well, I beg to differ. I beg to differ.
Okay.
There has been an active pursuit of that building
But
by
they
a
have-
fraternal organization in town that goes back more than a year.
Sure.
It goes back more than a year, okay? And if that type of use is not permitted in a residential zone, why is that not being expressed by town government to this organization.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
No, I was just going to say, I think that, I think you're not wrong in reading confusion from some folks on the committee as to what their charge were. One of the reasons I came to that meeting was at the request of the chair to try to reiterate the charge of the committee, which was to look at costs for reuse, costs for demolition, and municipal uses of the building. And then anything beyond that really is the purview of the select board. And so I think the goal was to try to, at least my goal was to try to steer the committee into saying, think about whether it makes fiscal sense to rehab the building or whether it makes more fiscal sense to demolish it. Try to make an evaluation as to whether or not, if this building was saved, are there municipal uses for it? And then they could weigh those against the cost, like if the municipal use was cold storage versus the cost of demoing a building, maybe that's not really worth it. Whatever.
Sure.
But all they were supposed to do is bring back that information and recommendations back to this board.
Okay.
The only time I can see that it would ever, an outside entity would become kind of become part of the process would be if this board said, we want to save it, and then we said, but we don't have any municipal use for it.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Mr. Kyra.
Lil Maselli was kicked out and she's trying to get reconnected. I see that she's coming on now. So she's in the waiting room, I guess?
I just let her in.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. De Palma.
Mr. Shalafort, I was at that meeting, and we spoke
Sure.
quite a bit during that meeting regarding this. And I will agree with you that, one, outside entities would not be considered there because of what it's R20. That being said, you saw the people that were there that night, and they were there to support one specific non-town entity. What I'm concerned with is that they're wasting their, now, it's going to sound wrong, but they're wasting their time with the reuse committee because they will have no say on who. They're not going to bring it to us and say, you're going to build, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this. They're recommending whether it's feasible, financially and feasibly correct to rehab that building enough that we can use it for anything that the town needs. And if it doesn't, then their recommendation would have to be either keep it or tear it down, one of the two.
Okay.
Nothing about anybody that wants to go in there. WCTV was there. There was a number of people there saying,
yes,
we
correct.
want it, we want it, we want it. And I'm not being mean to these groups, but that isn't the forum. They have no say in it. Now, when they make their report, and if they would like to say at the end of the report that we have had 1, 2, 3 groups that have voiced interest in the property, so be it. That has to come before us. But as far as them saying that Group X is going to go in there, they have no say to it.
Okay. Is that it?
So, yes, so just
To summarize?
You know,
To summarize.
I just want to close by saying, I think it should be out there from some governmental body in the spirit of full transparency about what is going to happen to the building, whether it's turned into matchsticks or it gets used or whatever happens to that parcel of land in that location, that the permitted uses for that under the current laws are well considered by a governmental body that has authority to say what is going to take place with that building. I mean, like I said this at that meeting. There's the width of the parking lot, there's houses there. The width of the
Yep.
street, there's houses there. It is completely 100% residential. Powder House Circle, Drury Lane, Lumac Road, School Street, Middlesex Ave, maybe somebody on Church Street might be considered in a butter. So those are the things. Whatever the use is, whoever lines up at the door looking to say, that's a great building, as long as it's understood that there are permitted uses and unpermitted uses. I'd like
And
to have
Mr.
enough
Shall-
money. I'd like to have enough money to come in here and say, you know what? I'd like it to be declared surplus. I'd like to buy it and turn it into a bed and breakfast. But you can't have hotels and
And
motels
Mr.
in
and
the
Mr.
residential
Shalafo,
areas. Yeah.
you mentioned it at the building reuse meeting.
Yeah.
You've mentioned it here. So I think, and we're on TV both at that meeting and at this meeting, so I think you've
Well, I want it to be clear because
made yourself clear. Thank
there
you.
was, there was no feedback from my letter of a week ago or
Okay.
a week and a half ago. So I just want it to be clear. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Sir, name and address for the record, please.
Rob Fasulo, 28 Marjorie Road. Good evening.
Good evening.
We have a looming albatross that has not been mentioned here tonight. So, without me asking, can we speak about that? We were told at the last selectmen's
I can't, Mr. Chair, I can't hear the speaker. Can he speak louder? I know it's not I'm sorry.
we heard at the last selectmen's
Can you
meeting.
hear that now? Mr. Kyra?
No, I'm sorry.
See if the mic got shut off.
It's up as loud as
Go up there, Rob. Go up to the other microphone.
Oh, you can sit there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go.
We heard at the last selectmen's meeting that we were going to get an update on the MBTA project. We have nothing to this point. Can we have an update?
You have, Mr. Chief?
Sure. So we're still working with KP to get the verified complaint ready. I think one of their attorneys was on vacation, and so it got delayed further than I'd like, but yeah, I anticipate it being filed reasonably soon.
All right, Mr. Chair.
Sir.
It's been almost 4 weeks. We've had a vote that did not accept it at town meeting at 2024. We had a special town meeting that folks voted no in December. We had a third one a month ago. If KP Law can't do this, please, gentlemen, find a firm that can. The second thing I want to bring up on this topic was a comment was made at special town meeting that there was a vote that was taken in executive session on the 24th of March. I would like to know if that vote was taken. I understand it was an executive session, but now that the town meeting is over, that should become public record. What was the result of that vote? And if the result of that vote, which I believe, by watching your votes at the special, that the selectmen were all for filing the exemption, why was it not filed? Why did we allow that to go back to a vote a month later? It should have been ended right there. So, Mr. Chair, I beg of you, Mr. Gierwar, Mr. DePalma, Mr. Kyra, and Ms. Maselli, why did that not get filed in March when there was already two? I would like to address Ms. Maselli's comment that she's sick of the innuendos and whatnot, but this is what breeds those innuendos. There was 2 votes prior to the special this year that said no, and we, the voters, were given the finger by someone and said, no, we're going to bring it up again to see if we can get it passed. How disingenuous is that? Get it filed.
Well, I think we're
4
working.
weeks. 4 weeks. This is KP represents towns all across the state. As a matter of fact, they actually represent some towns that have already filed for the exemption. They're not ignorant to the process. 4 weeks. Wilmington's got water problems. I can't water my lawn. File the exemption. This is absurd. Mr. Chair,
We will
please.
get an
to it.
answer.
And like I said, I would like
Soon
to
as-
know what transpired on the 24th. I think that the public should know who stymied their 2 prior votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, name and address for the record, please.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. West. Kevin McDonald. Raise this up a little bit. First of all, congratulations on your chairmanship. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I was also at a meeting with the reuse committee that Mr. Shalafo was at, and I had a different concern. My concern is relative to the senior center, because when we went to the town meeting,
You're saying the new senior center?
the new senior center.
Okay.
The new senior center went to a vote to the people asking for authorization for $14 million. And when I was at that meeting the other night, the current public building superintendent said that that cost of that building was $17 million. And that concerned me. So I'd like to personally ask you, Chairman West, to get us a list of all the invoices, because I put in public record requests for the cost of that, any changes, and I haven't got them back yet. They're saying that the person who was in charge of that no longer works for the town, and this, that, and the other thing. I just think that when you guys are receiving warrants every week to,
1.8. Well, I'm not gonna get you every invoice. You have a public records request in, so go through the public records process. You can certainly do that.
okay, just to let you know my perspective and my position, that I think this board is an oversight board. You meet and you vote on warrants. The warrants have to do with expenditures for things like the senior center, their contractors, their owners, project managers, any extras, anything like that. But it was very concerning for me to hear that that building cost $17 million.
I don't know about either figure that you mentioned, but keep going.
Okay, that's okay. But it's okay for you to not know that tonight, but it's not okay for you to not know that forever.
Okay.
And so, with regard to the new school, I wanted to thank Mrs. Feeney for her comments, because from my understanding, she's in a butter. She's going to be directly affected by this school. But the entire town's going to be directly affected by it, because there's really not a clear-cut impact presentation on all the taxpayers as what's going to happen to them.
As you heard, Mr. McDonald, the MSBA is going to come up with a,
Final figure on June 18th.
and we'll have, and the manager, in conjunction with, I'm assuming, the school department, will
Yep.
have impact to the taxpayer.
That's great.
Okay.
I bet you one thing that they're not going to have in that impact report is an impact on the people who can't afford to pay an increase in taxes, and what's going to happen to them if they're forced out of their house or they can't pay their taxes. So maybe we need to have a form, maybe next week. Maybe you call a meeting and you have a listing of the Wilmington High School debt not being paid off to 2035, the new fire station that's we're still paying for that debt, sewer lines and all the other things. And now the town just voted to take the Sharapa Farm by eminent domain. They think it's going to cost, $4.8 million? However, what's going to happen to the impact on the taxpayers if there's a lawsuit like happened on the Wildwood Cemetery site, where the town had to come back and pay double? I keep the position that the Sharapa property is worth $30 million, okay? You can disagree with me.
We have an appraiser on that. We have a licensed appraiser that gave a figure. So what other questions do you have?
Yeah, I mean, licensed appraisers,
What other
they
questions do you
can
have,
be
Mr.
wrong.
McDonald?
Okay, so I said before that, this mega school, okay, is a problem. And I tell you why it's a problem, because originally it started out as an early education, a preschool early education facility. There was a special town meeting at the Shriners, and people were under the impression that kids in preschool and kindergarten were going to get a new school. They were not told it was going to be a mega school. So it's my position that it was a bait and switch type tactic, and now they want to knock down a school that many people say is one of the most structurally sound buildings in our town that has had millions of dollars put into it, the North Intermediate.
Okay, Mr. McDonald, I'm going to hold you there. These discussions are going to be happening at future school meetings, school building meetings, and certainly at the special town meeting. So
Yeah, I've gone to
this is not-
many of
excuse
them.
me.
I've gone
This-
to many of them.
This is not the forum for that discussion.
Well-
I know it's on TV and you'll get your TV time, but this is not the forum for this discussion. So can we
Well,
move
I'll
on?
tell- I'll
Can
tell
we
you
move
why I
on to a
disagree with you.
different- Can we move on to a different topic, please?
Yes, this topic I'll move on to.
And last-
which,
hopefully, last topic.
Which is the vote that you took tonight, which I think is irresponsible and wrong. And you know that elections cost money. And if the new school is predicated upon a vote at town meeting, why in the world would you want to spend money on an election before
Okay,
you
Mr.
have that
McDonald,
vote?
I'm going to stop you there. We've already asked the town manager to talk to KP Law and see if it does not pass town meeting, that whether or not KP Law says that we can cancel the election. Is that all?
Mr.
have any
West,
other comments?
you can talk to KP Law.
Do you have
to
any
your-
other comments, sir?
Yeah, I do. You
Last
can talk.
comment.
You can
We
talk
gotta-
to KP Law until you're blue in the face. KP Law is not handling insurance
Okay, thank you,
lawsuits,
Mr.
and
Mr.
KP
McDonald.
Law, okay, might be wrong. But this is like a first
Mr. McDonald,
grade
we have
thing.
somebody in back
Listen,
of you that would
I
like
know,
to
but
speak.
Other people have been
Mr.
speaking for like an
McDonald.
hour.
Mr.
And I'm
McDonald,
just trying
we
to
would
get
like-
to the basis. of
Mr. McDonald.
Why would you vote so
Mr. McDonald,
irresponsibly
would you
tonight?
please release the microphone? Thank you. Ma'am?
Candace Jenkins, 8 Drury Lane. I just
Good
had
evening.
thank you. I just had a quick question about the parking spaces and the reuse and the Buzzell. Just a couple things I wanted to clarify. My first question is, I'm not a mathematician, but how did we miss the correct allocated number of spots for the town hall school admin building in planning?
So I wasn't here during that process, so I don't think, as Mr. Kyra mentioned, I don't think it was missed. I think it was discussed, in lots of volume about the parking that was being created, and I think they expanded the parking in the lot in front of the. So we basically created as much parking as we possibly could for that.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. I know that there was an expansion because the folks on Powder House sure felt the expansion right up onto the back of their property. But my question is, you made a comment about there were assumptions made about the Buzzell Senior Center. What were those assumptions? Were there the assumptions that would be parking that would be utilized for the
Those
town?
40 parking spaces were part of the town hall project.
Okay. And so we're still, if Mr. Kyra's comment about potentially moving all of the precinct voting to the senior center, which I appreciate that you are going to look into that. But let's just say that's not a viable option. And you do need to recoup X amount of spaces, whatever the delta is between what exists right now, which I think was 40 on top of the 18 that exist as additional. So what, 58? And I think you said 75 are required, the town clerk mentioned?
Between 75 and 100 is what
Okay.
the town clerk estimated.
So what happens if you need to make up those spots? Do you knock it, if
Mr. Chair, I couldn't hear very well, but I think it would only affect state elections, not the town election, which is held on a Saturday. But what would also happen if we had to do 3 precincts at town hall and 3 at the senior center, I would think that we would eliminate the student parking just for that day.
Right, that's what we've done in the past.
Open up 175 spots, and that has been done in the past. So I don't think there'd be any issues with the state election for parking purposes.
So
I heard you correct.
yeah, and I just want to clarify that the 75 to 100 spots were estimated by the town clerk to be above and beyond all the spots that are already at the lot. So that was
Sure.
Yeah,
I guess my where I'm going with this is the fact that we didn't account for the correct number of spots in the initial build and planning of the town hall school admin building, the new one. So you expanded it to edge right up on the land of some of the other folks that were impacted on Powder House.
No, that's not correct.
That's
We
not
moved
correct?
It was moved 3 feet, and there's still 30 feet between the edge of the parking lot and their lot.
That's
I just
fine.
want to correct that misconception because I know that's been
Yeah,
out there.
I can understand. I appreciate your.
Mr. Chair,
I
Mr. Chair, let me-
Oh, hold on just a minute, Mr. Kyra.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just let me say this, is that the committee did assess the parking along with the upper parking lot, and they came to over 324 parking spaces, which is more than adequate, so, and it did expand the parking on the lower deck, but with the additional 40, it's 324, so for people to think that the committee didn't do its due diligence in parking for the new facility, they're incorrect. The committee took did a lot of work over these several years, and the parking should be adequate, or is adequate as far as I'm concerned.
Sure, and I'm certainly not discrediting the work that the committee did. I mean, I don't know how those facts and figures come to fruition, like what the calculation is for the town clerk or whomever to say 75 to 80, if 75 to 100 are needed above what is required for the utilization of the town hall building plus the students. I don't know if that's something that ebbs and flows with population, with kids in school, whatnot. My concern, and again, where I'm going with this is if somebody comes down and says hard and fast that we need 100 additional, where are you going to get them? Are you going to knock the building down? Okay, that gives you, however many it does. Or are you going to, and I mentioned this at the reuse committee, are you guys going to expand the parking lot footprint of that parcel of land to edge further up against the abutters? And 3 feet might not seem a lot to you. I'm not sure if you abut any projects or things like this that have happened in the past, but 3 feet is still 3 feet. So that I just want to make it known that there are concerns because there was, we can agree to disagree, there was a relatively blatant disregard for the folks on Powder House. And my concern is that something like that could happen in the future to some of us other residents that abut. And not only for this project in this reuse committee, but for other folks in the town as we go down other reuse of other buildings or other projects that happen. So I just wanted to make it be known.
I think what's going to happen is that as we go forward with the Bazell process, whether the building stays or goes, and we're looking at the town hall / school admin building, what we may need to do is that we may need to reassess what our parking needs are
Right.
based on what the requirements of the facilities are.
Right. And so
So-
if that grows,
So that will be, we will be looking into that.
yeah,
We'll be looking into that, and we'll work with the manager and
understandable.
probably with the school department on the other side too, as well.
For sure. And my last comment,
Sure.
it seems a lot of like what came first, the chicken or the egg with these types of conversations, because again, I was at plenty of the town hall, school committee, whatever they are, the town hall school admin building meetings, and voiced the concern that I had for that building and what the impact would be on the Buzzell Senior Center. And we were told, doesn't matter, it has no impact on the Buzzell Senior Center, is not part of the conversation. Well, it's becoming part of the conversation now. So we're seeing the light through the trees. We're not stupid. We know what comes. And I hope that we can be given some respect to our comments and our concerns for forward thinking, because it is
Okay.
something that could impact us.
Sure, thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, announcements. Anybody have any announcements? Anybody online? Kevin, Lil, any announcements?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just want to thank the board for accommodating me. As you all know, I had hip replacement, couldn't make the Memorial Day parade, and I want to thank you for accommodating a Zoom meeting tonight for me.
We're glad that you're on the mend, so that's all good news. Lowell, anything from you, Ms. Maselli?
She might be still in the hospital, so.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right, one announcement that I'd like to make is just thank you to everybody involved with the Memorial Day weekend. As far as from Saturday, the flags and flowers up to the cemetery, to rededication of the monuments, dedication of the Gold Star Families Memorial, new memorial in town, and everything to do with the parade and the events on the Field of Honor. So thanks to everybody involved, both from the town side, the volunteer side, and everybody that wanted to just to visit and be part of the ceremony. Any new business? Nothing online, no new business?
Mr. Chair, I apologize. I didn't realize I was muted the whole time.
No worries.
If I could just make a comment.
Absolutely.
Comment back. I just want to thank you. I just want to make a point of clarification because I'm highly concerned that people think we need 75 to 100 more spaces every day at the new town hall school admin center. This is just 75 to 100 more spaces for elections. That's it. It's not an everyday thing. So there was no miscalculation on needed parking for everyday use for the employees and for student parking. The town clerk is just assessing 75 to 100 more spots additional on election days. So I just want to make that clear that there's not going to be any construction and to expand that lot or anything. It's just for elections.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maselli. And I believe, as stated earlier, that there's been times that like when the old high school was there, for example, and we had that parking lot, I think what we did is that we said that parking lot was reserved for election purposes. So we could do the same thing, I would
So
assume, for
I just
this.
want to calm people down on that. I just don't want a rumor to start that, there
Yeah.
was a mistake, because there wasn't. It's just for elections. So not that big of a deal. There's not going to be any change. It's just,
Thank you.
it'll be okay. It'll
Thank
be
you,
okay.
and
Thank
well wishes to your family member, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm finally on my way home. All is good, and I
Okay.
appreciate you allowing me to dial in tonight.
We're glad to hear that. Any other new business from the board? Mr. Manager, important dates.
Important dates. May 31st, we have a Household Hazardous Waste Day from 9 a.m. to 2 at the West Intermediate School parking lot. June 1st, so that's this coming weekend, Wilmington High graduation. June 3rd, we will have a community forum. This is a timely announcement. There's going to be a community forum for the elementary school project. It'll be at Wilmington High School in the large instruction room at 6 p.m. June 5th, we'll have Shawshene Tech graduation. June 7th, there's a fishing derby at Town Beach at Silver Lake at 8 a.m. June 8th through October 5th, we have the Farmers Market at Town Common from 10 to 1. June 9th is our next meeting, the Select Board meeting here in Town Hall, Room 9 at 7 o'clock. June 11th, we have a brush drop off at Old Main Street, 8 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. June 12th, there's a flag retirement ceremony, at the Minutemen headquarters at 6:30 p.m. June 14th, there's a brush drop off at Old Main Street from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Also June 14th, there's townwide yard sale from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also on June 14th, there's the D-Day commemoration at the Hardin Tavern from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. June 19th is Juneteenth. That's town office is closed. June 23rd, we'll have another select board meeting here at Town Hall. We are anticipating that being a multi-board meeting where there will be a discussion of the financing of the school, the elementary school project. June 25th, 4th of July festivities, funonthefourth.com, Town Common. June 28th is Family Day on the Fun on the 4th here at Town Common. And then June 29th is the spectacular fireworks part of Fun on the 4th. And then the 4th of July, Independence Day, town offices will be closed. Thank you very much, sir.
And do we have a salute to service?
I don't believe we have a salute to service.
Okay, well, I believe.
It's Memorial Day, so
I
just...
I believe that salute for service is to recognize all of the Wilmington residents, and I would go beyond that to any serviceman or servicewoman that was killed or missing in action in any of our conflicts from the Revolutionary War forward. So I think that the town, as you saw, the town came out in droves for all of our Memorial Day events, and I think we gave a proper salute to service to all of our fallen. So with that, I would like to entertain a motion to,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. De Palma, a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Second. Roll call vote, Mr. De Palma,
Gary DePalma, yes?
Jacob Giwer, yes.
Mr. Kyra,
Kevin Curry, yes?
Ms. Maselli.
Lillian Maselli, yes?
Okay, Frank West, yes. So I think we're done. Thank you very much. We're all adjourned.